Am I live now? Maybe? Maybe? I don't know. Still waiting. And it's okay. So that was weird. I'm guessing Streamlabs changed something because I said go live in Streamlabs, but then I had to go into YouTube and hit go live for it to work. So I'm gonna have to probably do a test stream some other time to see why it's not working. Why it didn't work. It's really weird. Do that. There's Gunner. There's Brandon. What's up, guys? All right. I need to power this on. I need to adjust my Z height in this. While I'm kind of hanging out tonight a bit. Let's do that one. Yeah. Front face at here. There we go. I need to go here. Settings, disconnect. Connect here. And then do it again on here. I don't know why it doesn't mean to do it twice, whatever. And home. Yeah, it does work, okay. Oh, nice, an overhang test. That should be good. Hey, Aaron. So for people that were watching the stream the other night, and I'd gotten so far with the HyperCube, then had called a night, I ended up running into a big issue trying to get the ABL working, but I talked to Tim at TH3D, we got that fixed, and then I ended up, what did I try? I was working with one of the guys on Discord and was having issues compiling the firmware for this. So wiring is one thing because it's an older one and Tim no longer has documentation out there for that. So yeah, he was able to help me out and get me sorted with that. But the firmware, because I'm using an older, it's actually 1.1.7 Marlin that this is running on. Older board, it's fine, it works. But the way that the bed is and how far off the bed my nozzle is and all that calculation, there was an issue with the travel length of X and Y versus the bed actual size. So spent about 2 hours the other night working on that with him. I think it was Sergeant Sarcasm on the Discord, and we were able to get that all sorted out. So now it homes in the middle, it does everything it's supposed to do, but my nozzle is still quite a bit too close. So I'm just gonna redo my Z offset again here real quick, just to see what's going on. So I just homed it. Now we're just gonna do G1, Z1. And that says we're a mil off there. Paper under there. And we'll bring it closer. Looks like right there. And if I do a M114, I can see that that is supposed to be 0. And my offset right now is set to negative 3.25. We're going to change that. So we're going to do M851Z negative 3.05. 500. And then let's home everything. Now we can do a G1. Come on. G1Z0 this time. We should not be too tight. We're not. So we've got extra space. The thing with the Ultra Base, if you've never printed with it, you don't want to squish too much into it, like a genuine Ultra Base. With the Crowdy one, you want to, and with the G-Tech Super Plate, you want to have a little extra squish. But actually with the Anycubic, at temperature, you do not want to squish too much. you will pull off some of that, but if you have it just right, you almost want to have it to be what would PI would be too high of a layer height for the first layer. So this feels pretty good to me. I might do, let's do this just 0.1 and M500. Okay, so that's all stored in there. So we're gonna leave it as a 3.10 offset. And it looks pretty good. I might end up changing that a little bit. So I did fall into a problem where the, let's see if you guys can see it with this one maybe. Yeah, okay. So right now I'm at Z0. So like when I start my first layer, this is where it's going to be. The probe is pretty doggone close to the bed, as you can see there. The problem is that when I modeled this, I did not account for the fan on top. There's no easy way to show you guys that. But here. So I did not account for this fan on top, and it is right over top the sensor, like literally sits on top of it. So I didn't figure that in when I did the modeling. So I need to pull this out a few millimeters. Let's see. So from the back, which is about here, need to have the circle start at about 23 millimeters, which will be a little tight because of this all here, but I can pull this sleeving down more. Not a make or break there, but I need to pull it out a few millimeters. Right now it's sitting at about 10. I need to pull it out to about 23 to be outside of the fan. At least 23, maybe 25 just to be safe. So I might make that change here real quick in Fusion. And just so that is donezies. And I can print it at some other time. I don't know when I will, but I'll print it at some point. It works right now. I'd like to have the sensor a little bit higher, because what happens is if your sensor is too close, you'll end up getting, if you have a print curl up, your sensor will snag the print. And then you fail, and then you have to restart. And no one wants to restart things. So, but it does work. It's not too bad. Where's Fusion? There it is. So I'm gonna make this, because pindas cost money, Jim. And I had this sitting here. I've already had that comment on the stream. I'm not gonna spend money if I don't need to, and I don't need to because I already have this. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna delete this fillet, and then I'm going to draw a line on here. I'm going to hide that main body. There we go. Actually, wait, let's go back here. Just isolate the sensor holder. Delete that fillet again. Now we can go ahead and do a, yeah, and it's capacitive. So Pinda requires you to have a metal surface because it's inductive, and this is not a metal surface. This is a glass bed. Right here. That's not what I wanted. Actually, we're just going to go like over here somewhere. Make sure it's a 90-degree line, and we're going to finish that. We're going to split body that body. We're going to use this line, hit OK. We're going to select the body I just split off. So I go in here to bodies. It's going to be body 1. We're going to move it. And again, it's already at 10. I need to get to 25, so we need to move it 15 millimeters to there. And we are still outside that other one. Not by much, though, to be honest. That is pretty doggone tight there. Maybe we'll come out a few millimeters. I'll do that afterwards, though. Hide that. And now I can just extrude this to here, joining it, and that's done. So I guess let's Move this 2 millimeters out, 3 millimeters out, I guess, like that. Yeah, and then we'll have to redo a little bit here. So if I'm doing that 3 mil, oh my God, I can't even hide that. Don't worry, because that's not a straight line in there. See how that's kind of like dipped in? That's not a straight line there. Again, I'm modeling someone else's deal here, so let's just make this a straight surface. All right, so now that's straight. And now we need to extrude this 3 millimeters, extrude this 3 millimeters. And I'm just gonna put I guess let's just fix this arc again here. Capture position, create an arc here, here. That's a tangent there. And we'll cut this down. That's better. I just want to get a little bit further away from that fan and give myself a little bit more clearance there because it is so close. It'll work out. Dan's here. What's up, man? Let's save this. And then we need to go back and make everything. And then turn the ABL. Move it here to middle. Check. And that's where the new one will live. And now it is away from the fan, because again, that fan mount was definitely in the way there. So now that's out of the way. And now the fan in the back, it will clear. As you can see, it goes to right about roughly there. So that'll give me a few millimeters of clearance in front of the fan. So that'll work out better. It's still very secure with those two screws that go in there. Really is secure. So not worried about that at all. What's going on, Darren? So all I got to do is print that at some point. We can go from there. I might actually. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. And let's just throw a fillet back in here. Now I'm thinking about it, so I forgot I had that on there before. Now we can say that. Again, not the prettiest part. This thing has 100% function over form. So I want this thing to perform well. I don't need it to look good. So it's really all I need. I think I have an E3D V6 in here somewhere. Where did we do? We did it under Megatron, was it? I had a V6 assembly right there. Let's copy this to the main one. I like everything in this assembly to be in this assembly. I don't like to grab things from somewhere else. And just bring that in. We're going to use the align tool. So we're going to go to that collar, control, at the center point, this circle, center point. It's fine. And then now we can just move this flush right there. Right? That should be right. Take it at 5.5. Put it right in the middle there. Bam. There. So now we can see what the clearance looks like with the nozzle there. And again, ideally, I want to have the sensor a little higher. Right now, mine's a little lower. It doesn't truly matter that much, but I'm sitting like right here. So you can see how close that difference is. It's really close. It should be a little further away, but hey, that'll work out there though. So now we can save this again and be done with that part. Jim, I could go right into the plastic, but this model already has the nut traps in there, so I'm just going to leave them. It uses square nuts. It's really not that heavy to worry about, to be honest, so I'll just kind of leave that there. But like I said before, I am so digging this screen. It can do so much more than I need it to, which is really, really surprising. I was not expecting to like this screen at all. I've had regular MKS TFTs, and they are definitely nothing special. If anything, they're very limiting on what you can do with them. I don't know why they are. They just are. But man, this thing can do everything. So it's really cool. Viking, there you are. We were just talking about you, Viking, in the Discord. I think that somebody tagged you, but I don't know if you saw it or not. We were trying to see what you were doing because there's someone trying to build a huge Core XY, and I know you're building a big printer, but I think I don't know if you're doing Core XY or not on your Mohair Valhalla, whatever you're calling it. Sorry, I don't remember the name of your gigantic printer, but I know someone was looking to get your input on their build. Let's cover back on the ABL cover here. But yeah, rolling old Marlin definitely proved to be challenging, to say the least. Come on. Come on. Where's the thing at? There it is. There we go. Okay. And I did recut the bottom pieces here. I think Aaron was the one that suggested I split it. So I did that. And yeah, it works. I mean, it is nothing fancy. All it is doing is keeping all of the dust and junk off of the MKS board and the power supply. The power supply is upside down though, which is why I have this raised off the ground so the fan is pulling from underneath or exhausting underneath instead of into the enclosure. I'm not super happy with it, but it does work. So we can go ahead and put this back up. It's amazing how light the HyperCube is too. I mean, the Blv is an absolute behemoth of a printer. All right, buddy. But okay, so doing like this, I still have access to the spool there. This is where the HyperCube lives. And it should be easy enough to access everything. Again, having this split really does help because I can just pull up the back, connect the USB in, and go from there. I might have a couple of those USB extenders sitting around, but I don't really want it. Oh, the only thing that I noticed with the screen, again, I said it before, but you have to have an SD card in for it to actually recognize the printer, which is really weird. Why mirror? That's it. It's to get, oh, it's to make 4XY. And Jim's doing the Heave art. Evo RT, I guess. Yeah, you guys should definitely talk on the Discord or something to sort that out. Again, so one other thing I did have is putting in a all metal throat into the HyperCube was still giving me issues, so I found a PTFE lined one, threw that in there, and it printed out, I mean, really well. This is that eSun marble filament that I have, which obviously hides a lot of crimes, but you don't have the nice thing about the HyperCube is the cooling is very superior. You don't have that like deck line. I mean, it's there. You can see it a little bit right here, but it's not very pronounced. And everything else just looks fantastic. I mean, this printer does print great when it works, but I just had to switch out that throat, and we were back to the races on that printer. So that's something solved. I was debating on pulling the BLV up here and doing a couple more part installations on it. So let's talk about the BLV real quick. I did a lot of offline talking with the, actually wait, before we do that, hang on, before we do that, let me show you guys a couple test prints off the HyperCube. So I did Angus's tolerance gauge. So 0.5 works, 0.4 works, 0.3 works. 0.2 is completely fused. I tried using a pair of pliers to pull it, could not get it all. Obviously 0.15 in the middle is loose, but so I can get up to a 0.3 or up to a 0.2, probably 0.25 millimeter clearance on that. So when you design parts, you kind of have to keep that in mind with the printer you're using. And most designers will do a 0.3 to a 0.2. So as long as your printer can hit one of those two marks, anything that most people design online will be able to print on your printer. So that's just a tolerance guide there. And again, the cooling on the HyperCube is pretty superior. So here is the overhang print, which looks fantastic. Overhangs look great, very minimal drooping in there. And then here on the underside, you have from a 20% degree overhang all the way up to a 70%. And again, right here about 65 is where you start to see a little bit of issue on it, but you know, it works out really well for pretty much anything you're going to be printing. It's a good option. I probably could dial that in more, maybe with some XY step adjustments or some slicer adjustments I'm using Simplify 3D for this printer. But for my intended purposes, it is more than accurate enough. So that's why I'm leaving it the way it is. I need to clean up for a quick minute here. Got stuff kind of everywhere here. I need to pull the nuts out of the old HyperCube parts. This does not have any. This has 4 of them. Because I keep and recycle everything, and there's no reason to throw away M3 nuts, because then I just have to buy more eventually. All right, so while I clean up, now I can talk about the BLV. So the BLV is experiencing a ton of issues right now on X and Y. I think it has to do with the motors, with the X and Y motors. So on a Core XY, for anyone that doesn't know that's watching this, a Core XY is different because both the X and Y motor, whether they're mounted in the front like the HyperCube or the back like the BLV, they work in tandem to move the print head. When they work together, that's how you get your linear X and Y movements. If they work alone, that's how you get diagonal movements with that because of how the belts are wrapped around in there. Which is great. So you have 2 motors working half as much to make your movements, because obviously 2 motors helping to move something is a lot easier. Dual Z axis is a lot easier because you have 2 motors pushing up on your gantry simultaneously, keeping it level, and everything just works easier that way. When you have one, the other side has rollers, and they're always gonna have a little bit of skew in there because you're pushing on one side. This is obviously gonna lag behind a bit, but it's going to lag behind a little bit, something at least. So that's why the dual steppers working X and Y are more efficient, and you can get higher resolution also of your prints because of that. I mean, the prints on the Core XY are fantastic prints. Now that being said, I think there is an issue with the motors that came with it. It's a very cheap kit, to say the least. This Core BLV kit was, I think, $450 on AliExpress. They have a more expensive kit for like $650 or $850, something like that. But it's still the same motor, so they're still pretty El Cheapo 48mm NEMA 17 motors. So I went ahead and bought two 48mm LDO motors off of Printed Solid, and those will be coming sometime soon. So I'm kind of waiting to do work on that until the new motors come in, and then we're going to swap out those motors and see if we can get things working properly again. The other thing I wanted to bring up is that we got to talking, I think it was Kennedy, who's in chat right now. So he has a Core XY and was getting the same weird like screams as the printer moves in certain directions. Diagonally was okay, but linearly was fine, but diagonally it's like as it goes across. It was like, what the heck? He turned off Stealth Chop, and instantly that went away. I was like, ooh, I think that might be what I need to do to get this working. But with these motors being pretty jacked up right now, I can't really do much testing because they're giving me issues. I guess we could pull it up here, turn that off, and see if they work any better. So I have to see what I can do with that, because I'm not quite sure if that fix will work or what it will do. So I'm just going to put this in here. But these cables, why not? I did finally order. I thought I ordered them. I did not. I finally ordered the rest of the push button 12-volt buttons. The latching. I have momentaries here. I need latching. I ordered the wrong ones a while ago. So those are on their way. That will be quite a hot minute until those arrive. I can say that. So once those get here, I can finish wiring up the LEDs. I did wire up the front LEDs on there and tested them with my bench power supply to ensure they did work. They do, but they're going to have their own switch on the front. And I have not dove in anymore to the NeoPixels on the SKR 1.3. I'm still not sold. I'm going to leave it that way because I have 1.4 on the Bear. It doesn't need a 1.4. 1.3 is plenty for it. I just really don't want to rip apart two printers and rewire two printers for that. So I'm going to try again with the with some of the suggestions that came up in the Discord. I have to find that conversation again first, honestly. And then once I do find that conversation, I'm going to try and either work with those folks or do what they suggested in order to get that working, or at least try to get it working. I've never really got NeoPixels to work before. It's kind of it's a foreign thing to me. I'm not very good at it because I don't have much practice with it. I'm kind of hoping that building this will give me a little more practice with it, and I can kind of go from there. But I need to clean up my workspace here a little bit so I can bring something up onto the bench. Probably going to be the BLV. Let's see, what do we got here? Size. Needle nose pliers can go on this one here. Does Born have a stealth chop threshold? I believe so, but I don't know if we knew where like how to change it. But I just want to turn it off on the BLV and see if it does help my problem, because maybe the motors are fine, but it's just they don't like stealth chop. Now the BLV was designed to use end stops, but I am determined to not use end stops. So I am trying to kind of fight the system here because I don't want to use end stops. It's 2020. I want to use the new hotness, which is sensorless homing, and kind of go from there. So, oh, that's one of the things I wanted to mention. So while I was working on the HyperCube the other night with Sergeant Sarcasm, I bricked the MKS Gen 1.4, which I thought was impossible. But apparently, if you lose connection while flashing, you brick the board. So I had to go ahead and break out an Arduino Uno and jumper cables and go ahead and re-flash the bootloader onto the MKS 1.4, then re-upload the firmware, and then we got it working again. But that took an hour alone of getting this hooked up properly. I was having some communication issues with what I was doing because I'm just not good at this. So we got through it. He actually has an MKS 1.4 and he had an Uno, so he hooked it up in tandem with me and walked through the process. We were able to figure it out, but man, it was a trying night. I can tell you that right now. It was quite the evening. I think it took us about maybe 2.5 hours to get all of that sorted out. Man, all these little bits just from printing a little bit with that printer and doing some work, some heat shrink junk here. But my God, 3D printing is so flipping messy. The Blv getting it up on the bench is going to be brutal. All the torques all the time. All right, well, we're going to pull the BLV up here. We're going to try disabling Stealth Chop and see what happens. So I did print the final grates that I talked about last time. So this one sits up top. And again, this keeps everything, all electronics are below it. And then these two go along the bottom and get mounted there. And again, they keep anything from getting up into the bottom of the printer. I didn't think that these are quite, yeah, these are just shy of the full length. I don't know why they're not the full length, but anyways, I dried out my PETG for like a day before printing those and it came out just fine, but I definitely had to dry out that PETG. Okay, rip my back. Let's see if I can get this up here. Here. I've got to get some of these things finished so I can start finishing these reviews as well. Here. Whoop. Put my foot on cabling there. I think I ripped it out. Did I rip it out entirely? Or no? Oh, I think I'm okay. I might be okay. We'll find out in a second here. Hang on. Okay. Halfway there. What's that? Oh, that's where the hotting crashed into the bed because it wasn't working. I screwed up my PEI sheet. My super expensive PEI sheet. Okay. Let's get this turned around now. Okay. Are we on the table? This thing just fits on the table. Like literally, I've got about 1/4 of an inch on each side to be up there. So yeah, so you see the LEDs are mounted here. Here. I have the 2 front LEDs mounted in here. They will be wired to a second switch right here. This one is for the top LEDs, which look amazing. There they are in their full glory. So yeah, can turn that down now. As if I still have the K280, we've got the K200 and starting to build it. So the K280 is let's see, actually, it's right here. Here's the K280. It's dead. I'm actually building 3 printers out of its carcass. So it was a horrible printer. It was way too tall, and it just had way too much twist in the Z gantry. Way too much twist in there for it to actually be a good printer. So I tore it apart, and it's birthing 3 baby printers, which are going to be they're going to be built like Megatron was. But I'm using it as teaching tools, which will be fun. I'm going to teach people how to build custom printers. Oh, and I did reprint these 2 center sections so everything lines up properly now, for the most part. I'm still not sold. I did buy some carbon fiber wrap because I wanted this to look as one piece. White Knight did offer to print this as one piece for me on his belt printer. I might take him up on that still, but I don't know yet. But he actually contacted me and said, "Hey, I heard you wanted to do this. Just holler at me and I could do it for you." So I might hit him up, have him print this for me in black PETG in one go. I just wanted to make sure I didn't want to make any more changes to this because I was, I changed the bottom grill here. I didn't know if I was going to change this if I didn't use the NeoPixels, but either way, I might end up hitting him up and having him print this for me in one go. So where currently you're running your X and Y motors on the BLV, they're running at 800 for when they move, and I believe we're down to 400 or 350 on homing. So I'm going to go ahead and go down to configuration, advanced settings, TMZ drivers, stepping mode. We're going to turn off stealth chop on all of this. Well, Z doesn't matter. So just X and Y, we're going to turn those off. Sensors homing is sitting at 84. And the current is, so 350 on homing, and we're at 800 on movements. So we're going to go main, and let's see what happens. So we're going to do auto home. That homed. This is going to home, but we're going to have to redo the Z level. But that homed okay. It homed actually pretty good. So I think, so Navid, I think the K200 will be fine because it's not quite as tall. The K280 was 600 on the Z with 2020 extrusion. That thing was so doggone flimsy. I mean, it was just impossible to print anything tall with decent quality. 100% impossible. I don't have the big. I did print a giant statue on it, and it just came out abysmal. I mean, it looked horrendous. So it is so dusty here. So quickly does everything get dusty. So once this does this, we're going to try to do the Z align. That's where I was having issues because it wasn't moving X and Y properly. Okay, so there's that. Now let's go to motion. Let's do auto Z align. 2, 3. That's pretty good. That seems good. That seems really good. It sounds great. We might need to throw some filament on this sucker and see what happens. Yeah, I bought LDO motors for nothing. I do need to re-upload firmware tonight though, so I need to upload with the new settings. I need to upload it with XY stealth chop off. I need to fix my Z align because right now it moves back 20 millimeters when it goes to the right side. For some reason, I have it messed up in my it's in my firmware wrong. I literally did that myself. I did it incorrectly. Oh, that's so nice. Man, Kennedy, you were onto something, brother. I think turning stealth chop off is definitely the way to go on this because that sounded fantastic. Let's look at firmware real quick here. Plan was to get the K280 build and then just get a 1MX3 2020 and make it big. I wouldn't, because 2020 that tall, your build surface is so small. Okay, so the K200 is a 200 millimeter, and the K280 was a 280 millimeter. So the problem is that when you get that tall, you have no stability on twisting, and that is what happens because there's no stability up there. 3 points is easy to level, horrible for stability. It really is. 4 solid points on the ground is more stable. Also, because this is a much heavier printer and it's using 2040, it has the weight in order to, when this thing starts to print and it's shaking, it's going so fast, it doesn't care because X and Y are not moving away from each other. On a delta, especially a tall delta with only 2020 extrusion, when you get up there and you start swaying, this moves as one cohesive unit. An i3 style will sway as one cohesive unit. On a delta printer, when your mass is up here moving, your effector is up here moving, and your bottom is sitting, the top is swinging around, the bottom is not moving relative to the top, so it's not moving together. This is moving a little bit, this is really starting to swing. So big deltas are using giant extrusion going up in order to attain that rigidity throughout the print volume. Like you see, and also they don't print that fast when you print that tall, because otherwise your everything is moving. Yes, your bed's not moving, but your effector and your gantry, your uprights are all moving. So I can't remember what I guess your Z uprights are swaying differently up here than they are down here, especially because it's 600 millimeter build volume. So if you're going to go any higher than 300 millimeters on a delta, I would look into 2040. Probably 4040 would be better, just so it's square. You'd have to redesign. If you have to redesign the whole printer regardlessly, you have to redesign the corner brackets for the bottom. You got 3 corner brackets that comes with the kit. You'd have to redesign that to accept a larger gantry for the top. You have to redesign the effector sleds that go up each of the ones. It's a big rebuild no matter what you do, to be honest, because you're going to have to redesign several parts in order to get it to work properly, and I don't know if it's really going to be worth it. If I would go with a Volron or a Core XY, because you could do a Core XY with a fixed bed. You can do a Core XY this way. There's a lot of other options. If you need to get really, really tall stuff and you want the rigidity, I would stick with a cube printer. So a Core XY, Volron, HeveArt, HyperCube, HyperCube Evo. You can make any of those really tall and still have good print quality throughout the print. Because even on an i3, you're going to get some swaying, not a lot, but you're going to get some swaying up there because you have a bed slinger is what we call for slang. And that bed's moving back and forth. That part can wobble a little bit. So it's, yeah, you're going to have, if you do it, please share because I would love to see the design for that. But it's going to be pretty brutal of a build. I'm not going to lie to you right there. So I wanted to bring up, what was I just going to work on? Oh yeah, firmware. Let's do that real quick. There. I need to bring up the S code, VS. Come on, where you at? Visual Studio, there we go. Now let's go here. Let's do this. So you guys can see it all. Ugh, man, excuse me there. Okay. So we got the Blv Mgn SKR 1.3 Marlin. Let's reload that. This configuration advanced. Let's get rid of the bare one. And let's go to self-chop XY. Let's comment that out. We don't need that. And then I need to verify what so here's my TMC stepper. So yeah, so I'm doing 350 for homing X and Y. 800 is my normal printing current, so that's good. And then let's check the sensitivity. I have that set to 84 here in the firmware. That's good. I don't need to change that. Let's check the auto Z. Or what's it, the Z align? Z, that might be in configuration advanced. What's that? There it is. Oh yeah, so I fixed it on here. So I had it go, it was going 40, 160, 320, 180. So I made these both 180 because that gets it pretty close. I mean, it's a 342 bed. 180 gets you relatively close. I guess I should probably do 160 would be better. Because then it gives me 320, 340. So that's close enough. Or 65. Because you want it to be pretty much in line. But I think because I moved the bed back, let me remeasure that real quick because I did move the bed. And I want to ensure that I am taking my readings in front of the Z lead screws. So to there, that is that's 170. So we'll call that 170 then. So it's going to probe this side and then the other side. You guys saw that happen, but probes one side, takes the reading, probes that side, averages it out, raises one side, then comes over here, does it again, averages out, and it does it until it gets that average within a certain margin. I don't know what that margin is, but it does that averaging. I don't know if it says in here what it is, but that's G34. Yeah, again, I don't know what the average is. It doesn't say in here. Yeah, so that should work out. What's going on, Paul? I love my 2 HyperCubes. I like mine too, now that it's working better. I still want to do some other things to it, but I don't think I'll do it yet. So I'm wondering if I should just YOLO and throw a print, start a benchy on this real quick. I just need to clean the bed a little bit. So let me get a piece of blue shop towel here. And where's that Windex at? That's a window cleaner here. And we'll just clean this up real quick. I did really gouge the bed the other day because this thing was goofing up on me here. So, but I want to see if this solves my dilemma. of the motors being wonky. So, so let's do temperature, preheat PLA, the hot end. Let's find some PLA to put on here. I kind of want to just use this transition spool, but I kind of don't. Oh, we've got the, let's pull out the Jesse PLA. I've got the Jesse PLA green that people had said, oh my God, you got to buy this green. So I did buy it. Dave is still not willing to sponsor my channel. I also never asked him, but he doesn't sponsor me, so I buy his filament to try out here. But if anybody knows Dave from Printed Solid, if he wants to hook a brother up with filament every once in a while, I will use it. Oh, I need to cut this open. So this is like a sparkly green, shiny green. So this is green slime here. There's something, Kennedy's saying something. I think I forgot something. So he said, the Paul, you built a bigger one. Don't need a delta. Aaron, yeah. I didn't need a delta either, so I got rid of them all. I don't have any deltas anymore. Did I set my stepper position in Z align? Looks like you didn't. It's not too important, but it helps with the Z align accuracy. So I have here where it probes. So that's this right here. If I go down here, so I don't have it enabled. So the define Z stepper align known stepper position, I don't have that enabled because I don't understand what it means. So if you can walk me through that, Kennedy, and tell me how I should do that, you should tell me. So I don't have that enabled because I don't know how to do it. It's right here, this whole section right there. So Beryl's saying, hey man, got this Fi Pro and it's been treating me great, except for the fact that it came with busted thermistor and here because it was overtime from the factory. Well, hey, you got a good one out of the box. That's fantastic. I'm really happy to hear that. Just remember, make sure you put in 24 volt stuff because that's 24 volt printer and not like me and put a 12 volt in and melt things. So yeah, Brandon, you do me on Patreon, brother. And you just increased it. You're the man. So you're fine with that. Paul, doing firmware is brutal. I am not a huge fan of firmware, so yeah. Discord later. Okay, that's cool. But again, it's disabled for now. I'm going to upload this firmware to it just so I can have my new values in there and that they're kind of hard-coded. Right now, I just have it kind of like saved in there with an M500, but I like having my firmware do the work for me. We got that connected, and now we can just go ahead and do upload, make it so. And let's see if it detects it. It did not detect it, so that's no bueno. Detecting. Turn you off. Let's take out this here. Do it the old-fashioned way here. As soon as I find where I put my card converter, keep it right here on my desk because I use it all the freaking time. Oh, look. There's a flash drive under my keyboard. I did not know that. I think I got more of these, so. Working on the Voron. Very nice, Aaron. I am super duper excited to see that thing and how it turns out. I'm very curious of that. So I'm going to right click on here. We're going to do Reveal and File Explorer. Don't want to get shamed again. I will do that. Tell other people that. So if you tell me you're working on a project and I don't hear from you for a while, I will 100% shame you on the Discord until you start working on it. And I've done that, I think, twice now to Aaron. I've done it at least once. So we're compiling firmware right now. Just gonna give it a second while I take a non-sponsored drink of my Pepsi. Oh, here's the accuracy right here. So the Z stepper line accuracy is 0.02 millimeters. That's cool. You can change that as well. The grade is 5%, so 1.5 centimeters. So it's got to be somewhat close. I does it 5 times. And then restore leveling when it's done. Very cool. And it homes afterwards. I have that enabled. We just do build now. Did that actually build here? Oh, it did. Okay, let's copy that. And let's put that onto the... Is it not detecting? Where you at, bro? Why are you not detecting my SD card? Oh, thanks, Kennedy. I will look at that later. Welcome back, Dan. We're going to get the BLV printing here a little bit, I think. Seeing my SD card for some reason. Let's put it up in here. I wonder if it's this adapter is not cooperating, which I'm kind of running low. I got a micro SD card adapter here. Yeah, it's not. Printers use micro SD cards. Stop it. It's not seeing it at all. One of my printers having issues there. In the right way, right? Yeah, I was in the right way. Will detect another micro SD card? I wonder if this one from SKR is bad. Looks like it might be. That one worked just fine. This one. Not so much. So it looks like the micro SD card from the SKR is bad. This one was bad too. But if it reads it, I'll call it good. If it reads it, we're gonna call it good. So let's paste the firmware up in there. Okay. And I'll put that micro SD card there. We'll check that out later. We'll put this in here. Boot it up. We should see status on here. Take that out. Let's reboot this one more time. I want to make sure it actually updates to the new firmware on here. So we're just going to go ahead and configuration, advanced. We're going to initialize EEPROM. Make sure we're taking the new settings here. I need to preheat the end. So I didn't load that filament yet. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and try out this Jessie PLA green slime. Just, again, it seems to be a fan favorite. It does fit there. Get out of the way there. Sucker in. For anybody who doesn't know, the BLV is running a 0.6 millimeter nozzle, which I like. Okay, so let's. Where's the tweezers at? All right, so now we can go ahead and do a print from media. We're just going to do the latest 3D benchy that I made and go from there. And we're going to go ahead and that's off for now. We'll repeat it later. Just don't want the boogers to get on the bed. The probes. Did I update this to a 5x5 grid? I think I did. Doing bilinear. We're doing 3. Well, let's do. We're gonna update to 5. So next time I upload this again, we're gonna do a 5x5 grid on this. Well, people are saying do a 7. I think 7's too much. I'm gonna do 5. BMG tensioner springs are the rarest on the planet. Probably, Aaron. Probably. Brad's orange glitter. Huh. I've not seen that one, Dan. Again, Jessie PLA is new to me. This is only the second spool I've ever bought of the stuff. It printed really well on the ANET A8 Plus. I'm waiting for this bed to heat up on me here. It definitely takes a minute. Again, I'm okay with that. But this back, ugh, you really gotta think about redoing this. I think also another thing I want to switch out these motors for is I did strip one of the screws. I do remember doing that one. I screwed up when I was attaching things, and I stripped one of these screws out. I think it's just these screws up top are just too long for what they need to be. I think that might also been part of the problem. What is this? It's a 3mm. Oh, that's not a 3mm. So 2.5. Strip those out entirely. So but yeah, that's something to fix with the new motors anyways. And win the gift card and order more. Dan, I would love that. Yeah, TrueTech, this is the most OP frame I have ever seen, to be quite honest. It is very legit. Very, very legit. But it's almost there now. I really screwed up that PEI sheet. Man, it sucks. I hate when I do that. It's a $60 bed to mess it up. Wish I could have like the Prusa beds this big. That would be pretty cool. But it'll be fine. The odds of me using the entire build volume is pretty slim. I don't really use the whole build volume most things. I am a fairly patient printer, so I will usually print 1 or 2 things at a time. Even though I could fit 12 on the bed, I'd rather have each part look great and then just keep switching out the print to print each thing than do everything on one bed load. I mean, I've done it before, but 9 times out of 10, I won't do that. Well, these aren't diagonal. I've got one kind of diagonal line there and one pretty straight across here. And again, that's from when this was acting up, the X and Y was acting up. So we'll see how this probe goes. We're almost there now. And as long as the auto bed leveling goes okay, we should be fine. Should be is the key word here. But it does add some nice character to the bottom of your print, doesn't it? You know, have that little line in there. I mean, it's the bottom of the print. Who's really looking at that anyways? I don't know, but hey. So one thing that someone had put in their start G code that I have not yet, I was trying to do it, but it didn't really work, was to put the G34 in there. Okay, so that did not home properly. Yeah, see, it didn't actually home all the way. So we're gonna reset that. I'm gonna lower my threshold a little bit. We'll go down to 80 on the threshold. So we're doing configuration, advanced, not steps, CMC, sensorless homing, it's down to 80. Auto home. Okay. The home is okay. Print, benchy, print. There's that bed to heat back up again. See how that goes. Curving each point twice. Thing I have it set as. Let's see here. Black Mueller PEI. That sounds interesting. Okay, that did home properly that time. So lowering that down to 80 seemed to work better. That's really an acceptable amount of noise. I don't know if you guys can hear that with RTX audio. You can just hear it slide. What it's going to sound like when it's printing. Hold still. Now we're going to heat up the hot end now to 230 degrees. Fine wine being described as a taste testing. Man, a printer like this is fine wine of 3D printing, to be honest. It really is. I always tell people, man, you gotta be proud of what you build. You gotta. If you're not, what's the point of building it then? Be proud of the work that you create. I don't think my Z offset is set though. It's not. Of course not. So we'll have to do that real quick. One thing I keep forgetting to set. We're at 200 now. We'll see how that is. I'm going to take this. Let me find offset. There we go. I'm going to change my Z offset in the firmware once this starts to what I set it to here. So the one thing I do enable in Marlin is combining the Z offset and the baby steps together so that when I go ahead and hit this, it says Z probe offset for baby steps. 1.2 or 1.3. Looks pretty good there. Pretty sure it's 1.3 though. See how that looks. Let me put you guys in here. Here we are, like that. Looks pretty good. Might be a little too close though. We'll see once we get to infill. I think we're a skosh too close. Let's do negative 1.28. Nice thing about having a nice slow first layer is that you can do this. You can dial in your settings. This is also a 150% benchy. I know it was either Jim or Kennedy. Someone was giving me crap about scaling a benchy. But I was like, if you scale the printer, you got to scale the benchy. Like, it's only logical. It's definitely too close. 5. Oh, that's better right there. That's the spot right there. Negative 1.230. Negative 1.230. That's in the firmware now. And the next time I upload, that will get there. That looks beautiful. Fan kicks on. Fan is the loud thing. That's 5015. It's definitely pushing the air to the max. Really is trying. Like a 1.228. A little bit more there. Oh, where are we at here? Hey, Jesse. Thanks, man. This thing is definitely getting there. So we found the issue, and again, just to kind of recap what we did here. Zach, welcome to stream as well. So what we did here is I went ahead and disabled Stealth Chop on XY, and man, it's loving it. I'm still have sensorless homing, which was the biggest goal here, but disabling Stealth Chop on X and Y made the motors a little bit louder, but we're getting the torque back, and that's really what we need for this machine to function. Because even at the 800 milliamps that the motors are set to, we still need a little bit of help. So that's what that is right there. But yeah, this thing, I'm really liking it. We're gonna call this one Bumblebee. It does a pretty good job. So Zach, this is called the Blv Mgn Cube. If you're curious to check it out, it's made by a guy named Ben Levi is the designer of this. It is a very good model. It is a very cool thing. I really do like the way that he designed it. I don't necessarily agree with some of the how he designed some of the actual printed parts, but the frame itself is an absolute brick house. Like it really is. It is all 2040 except for 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of 2020. There's an optional, you can put an optional 2020 piece here across the front if you think you need to have a little more stability. But yeah, once this thing starts going, it starts going. This is a 0.36 millimeter layer height with a 0.6 millimeter nozzle. I believe this is Kennedy. I believe this is your profile that he gave me, because stock Prusa profile to play with on this, I was having issues with a part cooling fan, but he came in and was able to hook me up with a good starting profile that solves the part cooling fan problem. And yeah, this thing does lay down filament pretty quick. And this is conservative settings too. So Zach, yes, you can enclose this. There are some 3D printed files out there. You can. I will have this enclosed, so the back, so the back, the two sides will be enclosed to prevent any drafts. There are several designs out there that build using some 2020 extrusion, a kind of hat that sits on here, and you can easily enclose the front as well with a piece of plastic or something on there. So it can be easily enclosed, not as easy like the FT5, but it's pretty close to there. These knobs here in the front do give you some pause, but you could do a different tensioning system on here. Where that's the difference here. HyperCube, the tensioning system is on the hot end carriage. The hot end carriage, yeah, it's an XY carriage. Where here on the BLV, your tensioning for the two motors is here on the front with these locking knobs. So a little bit different there. Jesse, these are TMC 2209s. 2209, sorry. Justin 3D, no, I did not work on the NeoPixels yet. I have not had time, to be frank. I hate saying that because it's kind of a cop-out, but I just haven't. I've been working on the ANET 8 Plus review, the Mgn D2 review, getting this thing working. I wanted to work on the HyperCube a little bit, get that back in order. A lot of things have come up that I just haven't made time for. And yeah, I've been, my motivation's been a little bit low past couple weeks. So I am trying to overcome my motivational issue right now. I don't know what it is. I think it's just kind of being stuck at home. I have plenty to do. I have plenty of projects to work on, but I think I'm stretching myself a little thin with so many custom projects going on that my brain capacity is just at its max, to be honest. And again, that is a 100% me problem. It's just I bite off a little more than I can chew sometimes, and this might be one of those times that I just have so many different things I want to do and want to get done. I just haven't, and I've been doing the live streams to kind of combat that, where I can just live stream this, where this could be a video where I worked on this, like I did the HyperCube videos, but I've been doing this live lately to kind of not have to do the videos. So I have 5 kids, Brandon, yes, and they are all home. They are starting back to school, in person back to school. My second grader was back this past week. She's off next week, and next week my kindergartner and 5th grader are in school for 1 week. So that's kind of how they're doing it here, is we're doing 1 week on, 1 week off. I didn't want to send them at all, but I said, let's give them this first week, see how it goes, see if there's any outbreaks. I think the school is doing their best to combat all of that. Still a concern of mine, but you know, I gotta let them go back at some point. But it's a little ridiculous. I mean, they've got masks to match their uniform now, and they have to wear those uniform masks, and they have to have so many there per day. They come home after school, I make them wash their masks. Their water bottle, make them wipe down their lunchbox and everything. It's a huge pain, man. I have less than a year left here, Justin. I will be moving in the late spring, early summer, I believe. Be getting to my next place in, I don't know, June, July, August. I don't really have dates yet on what's my movement's going to look like, but I should be set up in the new place definitely by August, having all of my stuff, so all the printers back, probably October timeframe. September would be sweet, but I don't know if I can make that happen. But I will be shipping ahead of me like I did coming here. I'm going to be shipping ahead of me a few printers. I don't know what those ones are going to be yet. Probably the Mark IIIS and maybe Megatron or the Bear, maybe an Ender 3. I usually ship ahead 2 or 3 of them. I shipped 2 this time here. I might do more next time. But I'll ship those ahead of me so that they are there when I arrive. So when I do get there, I can start creating content again and start printing things. Because actually having a printer when you move to a new house is super useful. Like, I printed our toothbrush holder to hang all the toothbrushes up. And then I printed the, we didn't have one of the paper towel holder. So I printed a paper towel holder and hung that up underneath the cabinets. So anytime you move or you're going to a new place, it's definitely useful to have a printer around for those like 100% practical prints that just make life easier, like so much easier to have around. So I have no idea what housing is going to be yet, Justin. I will not know until probably June, like a month or 2 before I get there is when I get assigned. And that's when I'll know what my housing looks like. I'm hoping for a larger office. That'd be great. I guess I'm really hoping for an office first if I don't have an office. That's going to suck, but at least if I have one, like I have this one here, it's small, but I can make it work. Having something bigger would be pretty sweet. Having a garage area would be cool, because I really want to get a CNC or do a printed CNC. That'd be awesome and fun to play with, some wood stuff. But again, I don't know if I'll have space for that. Really hope so. Rob, 3 people have COVID. Man, that sucks. hope they get through it all right, man. So my kids were homeschooled since March. So again, this is a very recent change. I have 7 kids. Well, I don't have 7 kids, so okay, that's cool. Pretty print other papers. Yep, that's kind of the whole point there. Darren, because I move all the time. It's my job, so I move frequently. And that's part of it. Oh, Kennedy, I see your post in there now. So I need to charge my phone. Buy an industrial lot. Oh yeah, industrial edge of the city, bring it to residential, commercial. True Tech, that's pretty cool, man. It would be nice to have like a separate. I like being able to do my work in my house. I know, like, but like Tom has a separate place. Tom doesn't have any kids. Ivan has a separate place. Ivan doesn't have any. At least I don't think he has any kids. So it's really cool that like people can do that. And I found another guy. I think it's like make art show. I don't know, but he's done some really cool stuff. He has an amazing looking studio, but like he has to like travel to go to his studio to do work. Now, granted, those 2 guys, bad examples. They're both full-time YouTubers. I am not. I do this in my evenings. So me going to another, like renting another place, going to another place just to do this every night would take a ton of time away from my family. So, because I only ever start doing this once the kids go to bed, and that's when I start working on stuff. So, HyperCube or HyperCube Evo? I don't know, Zach. The HyperCube, again, this argument comes up all the time. For the size of the original HyperCube was meant for, which was a roughly 200 to 250 square bed, 2020 is more than enough. If you're going to go, and I think that's good enough up to 300 millimeters. Once you go over a 300 cube build volume, you should look to use the Hevo or use a frame like this of 2040. I don't like that the Hevo uses 3030. It's really hard to get. It's not standard to buy online, at least for the US. But like everywhere I look, 2020 is there, and 2020 is really cheap. 2040 is also fairly cheap. So definitely seeing some layer inconsistencies in this filament now. I had an under extruded part here in the back. I wonder if I should up my temperature a little bit. Let's go 235. We might be just kicking a little too fast for this filament. Yeah, the Hevo RT, a lot of people have been talking about that lately. So again, but 2020 is more than enough. There's no, you're not limited with the HyperCube. The 2020 frame is not your limiting factor of the rigidity of that printer. It's going to be your X and Y smooth rods. So for X or for Y on my HyperCube, I have 8mm smooth rods. For X, I'm using 10mm carbon fiber tubes, and the rigidity is there. I mean, the accuracy is there. It's a good printer for that. There's a point, also in my opinion, probably no one cares, but there's a point where you get to like the why even go that far? Like just build a printer out of 80/20 then. Like, why not? Like there's a point where the sense doesn't really equate, in my opinion. Justin, yeah, they just got that in. They have been out of it for a long time. And again, I tell people if you're going to buy extrusion, buy it from Ziltech because it's a good price. But they have been out of it for a very long time. I'm glad to see they have it back in stock at least, though. Yeah, this is using MGN. These are MGN 12s, aren't they? Yeah, these are MGN 12s on here. See, that's the other thing that kind of becomes an issue with the HyperCube, where this, I can scale up any direction and I won't have any sag anywhere because the way that this is all using MGN 12s on every axis, X, Y, and Z, all MGN 12s. So the issue comes down to I mean, there really isn't one. It's going to be rigid regardless. On the HyperCube, the longer your rods get in either direction, the more they're likely to sag in the middle, which is why you would have to go to like 10 or 12mm rods for X and Y, but then you're making all that mass to move around on the X especially, because that's where your mass is. Your carriage is only part of the mass. It's your actual entire X-axis is the mass of that printer, excuse me. Oy vey. So that you kind of have to pick which way you want to go with that. I don't know why I'm still on that camera. I need to do this one. So I'm like more in the camera. There we go. Yeah, so if you're going to do 400 or more on a HyperCube, I would use at least 10mm, if not 12mm on the Y. And for X, it's tough what to use. You know, I would not use metal rods because you're going to print really slow because that has so much weight to them. But carbon fiber tube, if you can get carbon fiber tube with a thicker wall, like mine is 10mm ID or OD with an 8mm ID. So I've got a, or is it 6? I think it's a 2mm wall for those. But you want to get something that's like a 10mm OD with like a 4mm ID. So it's much thicker in there. It's still lightweight because it's carbon fiber, but you got to have that rigidity in there. 4080 C channel for a CNC build. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, because if I did I don't know what I would do for if and when I'm able to build a CNC. I have no idea what design I'm going to go with, because you've got the lowrider, you've got the NPCNC, you've got Ivan's build now, you've got the Indie Mill, which he started with 3D printing and a Dremel, and then kind of worked his way up. If you're not familiar with the Indie Mill, highly suggest you check him out. I think he's a German or Swedish. He's European, young kid, and very cool project. I've been following him since he started his Dremel build, and then he started calling it the Indie Mill, and he just did another video on covering up the ball screws, of trying to find an interesting way to do that was cheaper. I really did like his build on that, but I have no idea which design I would end up going with. The Root CNC. I've never heard of that one. That one's new to me, Ryan. And welcome to stream. Yeah, you can get everything pre-cut from Zildtech. If you have a miter saw, you can either have them pre-cut it or use the money that you would spend on getting pre-cut and buy a metal blade for your chop saw, miter saw. That's what I did, and now I've built all my machines. This is the first one I bought that had the cut extrusion for it. Everything else I've cut myself. For the HyperCube I did, for Master Crane, Megatron, the Bear, all of that I cut myself, and I've saved probably hundreds, maybe not hundreds of dollars, but like more than how much a blade costs I've saved by just buying the blade for my saw. So it's definitely worth having. Well, see, I don't know, Justin. I don't know if I would do CNC. I don't know if I would do metalwork with it. Like, would it be cool to cut metal parts? Yes. Do I really need to? No. I mean, I would want just to cut out some like cool signs and stuff, like out of wood. Also, getting the metal, I'd have to find metal on like eBay or something, have it shipped to me. And shipping metal is expensive. Like, it's pretty hard for me to go out and buy something. I can't go to like a scrap guy and, hey, what do you got for like a 3 mil or 5 mil cutoffs? Can't really do that here or anywhere I really lived. So that makes it pretty tough. Holy cow, that's pretty toasty. Now I'm getting some pretty heavy under extrusion. Is that fan working in there? It's blowing. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of random under extrusions with this filament. I didn't have that with the other filament I was using. And I'm up to 235 now. And this is really slow layer here. I'm going to stop this. Show you guys this here. So let's go here, zoom this in. So focus on my hand, focus on my hand. Piece of crap camera, focus on my hand. There we go. See, look at that under extrusion in there. That's a slow top layer right there. And then I had some bad under extrusion back here. So I don't know if it's the filament or not, but I'm going to swap out to a different color filament. So let's do change filament, PLA. Why would you go all the way back there? I guess my Z-Safe homing is off because it went all the way to the back for some reason. That's annoying. There we go. Okay. Let's get this thing to the side. What do we want to throw on here? I've got this junk I need to print through. I need to throw it on a spool holder though. Where's my spool holder? I got another junk filament that printed fine last time I used it. Very, very old roll of Robo 3D filament. Back when they used to actually have stuff. I bought this years ago. Why would you cool the nozzle down after like 2 minutes? Jim, this was at 235. Printing fast, and that did not. Jim, this was Jesse PLA. Like just using Jesse PLA that everyone raves about. This green is meh. I'm not sold on it yet. Purge. Changing color now. It's purged a little bit more. Make sure we get all that green out. That's pretty good there. Okay, okay, you can stop today. Good gravy. Continue. So print. Let's print that benchy again. Wait for that to happen there. So most filament in, well, Jim, also this is a 0.6 nozzle running pretty fast. So I normally always print at 230. PLA, because it's printing so fast, 215 can be a little bit low. So when you're printing with a larger nozzle at these speeds. And still, if it's too hot, it shouldn't clog and it shouldn't have under extrusion. Yeah, I can throw a dehumidifier. It was brand new out. I mean, you guys saw me. I opened the package right here on the stream. So it's not like it's been sitting out for a while. I just opened it up. I got it maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. So with the Deskin pack in there, it should be fine for at least a few weeks. If it's not, then there was way too much moisture in the filament when they packaged it. I didn't have those problems with the black. I've used about, a little less than a quarter of the roll on the black so far. I've never printed PLA at 190. I've never gone, honest, on any printer, I've never gone below 200. That moves so much smoother. So I have to just watch that. Sorry. I'm quiet watching it because I'm just like oogling at how well it's moving now. So I usually burn the 0.4 as well, Viking. Every printer I have is a 0.4, except for this and the Artillery X1. Survey. Yeah, every other printer I have is a 0.4 millimeter nozzle. I have 2 of them with 0.6s. I tried going 0.8 once, and it was just too difficult. I wasn't able to get that dialed in properly. So, let's see how this filament does. Again, this is a very old roll of Robo 3D. See how it performs. Pretty wet to me. I can hear it popping. Might need to pull something out of a bin. This looks like pure garbage. Stop that. It is rain. It is. I am now in rainy season here, so it is getting a lot more humid in my shop. So we'll do need to start combating that again, which really sucks. So let me grab. I think it's just that filament. I think anything else I use will be fine. What do I have else laying around somewhere? Could grab a new spool. Put it up there. I have some. What's this overture that I have? What's this? PLA? This is PETG. Oh. Oh, this is PETG. Try this. There's that. Oh. This is Layer Up 3D. It's a silk popper. Let's try this out. Another brand new spool out of the bag. Got a good vacuum on it. Yeah, it's been pretty doggone humid here. I had a little temperature and humidity doohickey here on my desk, but it disappeared on me. So this is Layer Up Silky Copper. They sent this to me for a review, which I have obviously not done yet, so I just opened the filament. We could start that. This will fit on the spool holder. Tried to make this spool holder pretty universal, and it's good unless I get a spool of filament with a very, very small hole in it. Let's print again. Pull this junk off the bed. Let's see how this goes then. Ooh. Blv Mgn, boy vey. Or Super Volcano. Man, you guys are, that is beefy stuff right there. Oh, Aaron, sorry, I just saw your comment. I do have that down here. That's PETG. I have it right here. Yeah, Aaron sent me this blue filament. Again, still in the package. I haven't opened this up yet. I was going to use it on Ultra Magnus, but I ended up using the Ziltech PETG that I had laying around. Yeah, I see people printing with 1 mm nozzles. I really have no use for printing something that with that big of a nozzle. If you have the need and reason to use gigantic nozzles and print insanely huge layer heights, cool. I just don't. Like, what are you trying to keep the weight down for? On a printer that big, you're not going for speed, bro. You're going for sheer print volume. Eat me a Reese's. My wife bought way too much Halloween candy, so I get to dip in early. It's so warm in here, this is almost melted. It's so warm in my office that a Reese's is kind of melted. Thermometer thing at. Fusion video ideas. Yes, somebody recommends something to Aaron. He's doing extremely good job on Fusion tutorials. I like them. It's funny that everything you've done so far, you've already taught me. So, by a lasting amount, Zoe, you're right. That's pretty funny. Sounds a little bit wet. Can hear it popping. Let's try turning the temperature down. See if that helps at all. I could just be boiling the filament. A brutal looking first layer. Not popping anymore. So yeah, it was too hot that first layer. But we're probably gonna need to speed. I'm probably gonna need to put it up once I get up to speed. Also, one thing, Jim, that you don't realize is that I'm using a clone BMG, so it's not gonna be the same as using genuine stuff. Like I definitely cut corners to keep this under 1,000. Like definitely had to cut corners on this. You don't build a printer this big and this sturdy for less than that. So it'd be Yeah, but TrueTech, the fact is that you can make an item in 36 hours. I mean, that wasn't a thing 10 years ago. I mean, unless you were like a super good at woodworking and it was a woodworking centric item, yeah, you could knock that out in however long it would take. But like the fact that I can design a complicated uh, project or complicated thing and print it out in a couple hours is pretty amazing. And mechanical objects too. I'm a little worried this extruder is going to struggle here at this temperature. We'll see, though. We will see. Just the, I mean, they're not bad, but they're not originals. Like the plastic on them is like the gears are fine. I mean, honestly, I buy 5-set gears for all my Prusa and the clone, everything that's using a bare extruder. I'm using clone BMG gears, but it's more the when you're using an actual BMG, the plastic on these are pretty chintzy. Now, granted, I've never had a real BMG in my hand, but these feel pretty cheap. So it's more of just it having the force and not flexing as it's trying to do something. It's hard to explain, but like they're not bad. They just are not great. I'm still a big fan of the Titans. I like the wheel on these are hard to turn. The thumb wheel on a Titan is real easy to turn and feed it in. I also do not like the arm on a BMG. I like the arm on a Titan. It's very easy to press back and load your filament in easily, then use the thumb wheel to load it in. This like takes skin off. Like it hurts to try and move it. And this is as loose, I think, as this spring will get. I think the springs on BMGs are too overpowered. They are just so doggone tight. Even just barely, they're hard just to get started. And even that feels like it's too much tension on the filament. That's what I think. Whether it's that way or not, I don't know, but that's just how I think it is. I'm not a fan of the BMGs really at all. If I could put more TH3D Titans on things, I would. I've bought lots of clone Titans, and lots of them have sucked. The TH3D Titan clone has been the best one so far. Triangle Labs isn't bad, but they are hit and miss. The TiVo ones are good. All the ones I've had on the various TiVo printers has worked out great. I mean, I had the Tarantula for like 3 years. That thing was awesome. All metal BMG knockoff for $50. I think less than that, honestly, Jesse. I have a Titan Arrow as well. You undo the screw and you load filament. That's too much work. Like I shouldn't have to do that. It's just like I should be able to just hold on to it, push it with my thumb, and feed filament in. Maybe I'll just change out the spring on it. I don't know. Print a P Titan. So I also tried, what's the big brand on Amazon? It starts with a W, Windsock or Winson or whatever it is. They have like everything. They're like the FiSec of Amazon, but FiSec is now on Amazon too. Windsock has hit and miss stuff. Their Titan clones suck. It really depends on again what you're doing. The E3D Hermera. Well, Rob, that's soon. So Brandon bought me one, and it's coming. He asked me. I got mail today. It did not come here yet. I think the Hemera is extremely expensive to be the big brother of the Titan Arrow. I don't know. I have one coming. I'm probably going to end up doing a Bear Mara with it. But I don't know. Aaron, if you're there, put your link to your channel in the chat. Trying to compare that to this one here. That sounded weird. I do see one little under extrusion in there. It's a shiny filament. Oh, there you go, Brandon. They both put it there. Rob, it's $150 for an extruder and a hot end. I will never buy a Mosquito. If someone wants to send me one, great, but I do not think a hot end is worth that kind of money. I don't think the Nova is worth the money. I just don't. I mean, for 99.9% of people 3D printing, you don't need a Hemera. You don't need a Mosquito. You don't need a Nova hot end. You don't need any of that stuff. Like, it is way overkill. If you're trying to have the fastest printer out there on the street, sure, spend your money on stuff like that. But it is not worth it at all, in my opinion. Because most everyone is printing, the largest market share right now is to an Ender 3. They're printing at 60 millimeters a second, and it does perfectly fine for that. So, like, if you're buying that kind of stuff, you are in the 0.1% of people that are buying things. It's the extruder, the hot end, and stepper, yes. You know, I think it's highway robbery what Prusa is charging for LDO motors. Like, you go on to his you go onto the Prusa website to buy like a replacement extruder LDO motor, and it's 50 or 60 bucks. Like, come on now. LDO motors are good. Like, I spent these motors here are 23 a piece. I spent 50 bucks for 2 motors, but that's 2 motors for the price you get one on Prusa's website. So it just, I don't know. I think if you're spending more than $100 on your hot end alone, when most people are spending $200 on a full 3D printer, a fully functional, capable 3D printer, it's ridiculous. Like, you are the elitist is not the term. You are the super users, I'll call it, I guess, of 3D printing. Like, you're buying that for a reason to do something. You're not doing it to print toothbrush holders or paper towel holders. You know, if you need to print high temp filament or super duper speeds, by all means, buy that stuff. Like, that's what it's for. It's cool that people have that. But I will never push that type of upgrade. Like, I just watched Tom's video on the Mosquito, and I was pretty disappointed with the video. Because holy hell, like, it's $180 to get a full Mosquito setup. I can get a full-fledged E3D legitimate for what, 50 or 60 bucks. Or I can get a Crowny. Oh, that's a pretty good word. Or you can get a clone for 10 bucks. The super duper duper users. Because also, like, a Mosquito clone is like $70. I would never spend $70 on a clone hot end. Like, if you've got the money burning in your pocket and you need to buy it, just buy the legitimate one. Like, oh, he did the Copperhead. Yeah, sorry, he did the Copperhead. Hey, Dan, how's it going, man? Zoe, the Ender 3 is right now, the one-all and be-all beginner 3D printer. It comes in right around the anywhere from 150 on the low end to 200 on the high end. It ranges in there every day for sales. I did a 3D printing class. I had them all buy Ender 3s just because it's, it's a good all-in-all beginner 3D printer. It's just the fact of it. Like, there's nothing else is at that right now, that price point. Upper echelon of the 3D. Yes, Jesse, thank you. You guys are way better words than I am. I was clearly not an English major or a math major. I'm an IT guy. Words elude me. I don't script my videos. Like, I can't do any of that stuff. The upper echelon of 3D printing. If you're buying a $150, $180 hot end for your 3D printer, you are the upper echelon of 3D printers in the world. Yeah, Gunner, it's for show. Viking has 2 mosquitoes, won them both. That is one way to get it. Or as Brandon said, you buy it and send it to me. That's another way for me. Because again, I am getting a Hermera to try out. He just said, hey, here's this, have fun, give it a shot. That's what I'm going to do with it. What would you consider a beginner then, Brandon? Because on a price point, getting anything less than that, I mean, okay. The Mingda D2 took, what, 5 minutes to put together? I mean, it was 3 parts. That's pretty easy to put together. What else was easy to put together? Oh, the Anycubic Mega Zero is pretty easy. The Anycubic i3 Mega, very easy to put together. That was 2 parts to put together. Like, literally, it was 4 bolts or 8 bolts put in, and you were done. So there are some out there that are easier to do, but again, for $180, it's hard to beat. One and an E3D tool chain to go with it. Rob, don't we all? But man, that's a lot of work. Everyone's been talking about the Dragon Hot End. I think it was someone just bought it. They were talking about on the Discord. It was $50 on Amazon recently. So yeah, but Gunner, again, if you're buying an Ultimaker, you've got more money to spend than you know what to do with, honestly, or you're a business. Like, I don't know too many average Joes that are buying Ultimakers. Like, I'm sorry, you're not middle class if you're spending money on an Ultimaker. Like, if you're dropping 3, 4, 5 grand on a printer in 2020, you've got money to spend. Like, that's legit. You got money to spend. I do have kids. But still, I mean, even the stuff I buy, like, I don't know, man, 5 grand on that is insane. And what are you really getting? And these days, what are you getting on the Ultimaker that you can't get off of a $1,000 printer? You could build 2 rail cores like kitted out for the price of one of the high-end Ultimakers. I think it's, but it's also more of like I think they're great for, again, companies that want something that just works. They've got support and things like that. That it's not a DIY. You unbox it, you take a couple spring-loaded things out, some tape, and you print with it. Like, it's good for that. It's not a tinker machine. It just will work, right? So, we have a lot of under extrusions in this filament. Same as there was in this one. A lot of under extrusions. And this is at 215. This was printed at 230. They're not the same under extrusions either. They're definitely different. Because all their extrusions, this one's are on the back side. There's some back there too. Maybe it is just stupid humid here now. Whoop. Yeah, I'm getting a ton of under extrusions. So here's the back side of that print. If my camera will focus on my hand. Yeah, so look at those under extrusions in there. So again, I'm not sure what exactly is causing that because I just printed this benchy using some 4-year-old super duper crappy Maker Geeks PLA. And if this will ever focus, there's not a single under extrusion on this print. Yeah, it's stringy because I printed it too hot, but I mean, it's a good benchy. And it's using the bottom of the barrel filament. So I don't know what's going on, but this was just printed, what, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago I printed this on the stream? I don't know what's going on here, but I'll throw this stuff in the dehumidifier. Try it again later. Don't lose the edge, Shane. Oh, where's it? Man, I hate spools that only have mounting points for filament at one edge. So annoying. Then you have this gigantic tail that comes off. Like, I have all of this because there's one place to pass the filament through on this spool. So dumb. I'll put this down here on the dehumidifier, and I will run this tonight. Where's that green at? Where that? Okay, green's right there. So I'll put this green in there too. And yeah, after I go to bed tonight, I will run. Well, before I go to bed, I will turn that on. Let that run all night, and then I can do that. Maker Geeks is good stuff. Dan, now I know you're trolling. Rob, it's not the same layers because they're different. Let me show you the same sides. Please focus on my hand phone. There we go. So they are definitely in different places, with the copper having a ton more in it. And then if I flip sides, it's there a little bit in different locations. But again, this benchy right here is the exact same G code. I've not changed anything. So exact same G code, no under extrusions. Again, I'm going to dry the filament out to rule that out. I don't know. Maybe that is it. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But I'll dry it out tonight. I'll throw another print on here tomorrow and let that roll. We'll see how it goes. I'll start a print in the morning when I get up. Let's see. Which bed mounts am I using? I'm using the stock bed mounts with aluminum spacers. Whoops, I punched this. I'm using the stock bed mounts with aluminum spacers because I'm using ABL. So these wheels are not really necessary or needed. I just put them on there. I could have just put these on with some lock nuts and go from there. But yeah, I did have to extend because I'm using a bigger bed. I did have to put a new piece of 2020 in here, which I need to order a stick from Ziltech of black 2020. Right now it's silver and it sticks out and it bugs me. So I could do that, Aaron. I think I'm gonna do it tonight though. We've been at this for 2 hours now. It's getting late. And I've kind of accomplished what I wanted to accomplish today, which was making sure the HyperCube was good to go. And this was kind of bonus stuff here. But what I can do is I can definitely print with the green stuff, and I can print something else on here tomorrow. Maybe I'll throw some PETG on and try that as well. But we could talk about this tomorrow night on my Saturday night stream. Yeah, probably, because again, they're just aluminum. I believe these are 12mm spacers, what I'm using on there. But yeah, so we'll talk about the prints and the filament tomorrow night on my Saturday night stream. I do have some projects, things I need to take care of tomorrow that are non-3D printing, so that's going to be most of my day, but I'll definitely come in the office and get some of these prints going. I need to finish cleaning out the crap under my table here because I really want to get this ANET review done. I have everything printed. I need to film it. I've been saying that for 2 weeks now. Still haven't done it yet. But I want to get that finished so that I can move on to the next project, which is converting the ANET A8 to Ultra Magnus. Everything is printed. Everything is right here in my bin. So here is all the parts for Ultra Magnus printed in color. All of the new bearings. Everything is ready to go in here. It's an SKR 1.3 with 2209s. All ready to roll. I just need to do the final review on the printer, and then I could take it apart. Because I wanted to do a review on the printer as you got it, because somebody might want to do that. They might want to just buy it and use it. So we'll see how it goes. Okay. So yeah, remember, if you guys want to help the stream, if you want to help me out, you can become a patron, donate to the stream. There's a bunch of links down below how you can do that kind of stuff. This build is funded by patrons and by everyone using the affiliate links, things like that. Patrons is the biggest help that I get from anyone. So if you want to join the ranks of patrons, there's a link for that down below. There's also a bunch of affiliate links with some discount codes. Use those. I get a little bit of money for those. Greatly appreciate that. So you guys have a good night. Wash your hands. Happy printing. I'll see y'all tomorrow night.